Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final day of the CICD week. Oleg, I think, just joined and left, so he'll be back again. Yeah, he's back again.
And
So welcome to the last day.
mhm.
Yeah, welcome to the last day of the CICD week. It's been pretty exciting till now, and to be honest, Oleg was the one who helped me, in organizing this whole week, the projects, how the flow should be, people to reach out, and all the other stuff. So a big thanks to Oleg because behind the scenes he was the one who actually made this happen. So that is pretty interesting, and. So my name is Ayam Pathak, and I'm a CNCF ambassador working as director of technical evangelism at CIVO. This is my YouTube channel where you will find all the awesome cloud native content that you won't get anywhere, of course. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and keep sharing with your friends. There have been amazing series in the past, the WSL days, focusing on WSL from the experts, the K native series from the experts, and this is the sorry, not the Jenkins one. This is the CICD week, and the last stream is on Jenkins. A few housekeeping items. Make sure you are polite to each other in the chat and do not post anything offensive. We are all here to learn, so please, you know, maintain that decorum. And what else? Yeah, Twitter threads are a great way to show that what you learned, and a great way to show speakers as well, how they were doing, what all things you learned from the presentation. I have seen that for all the sessions, so they were really good, and keep doing that. I see people already joining, so I'll put you on the screen as well. Thank you so much for tuning in live. Today we'll be learning about the very, I think the most common one that people know, Jenkins in the CI/CD ecosystem, and it's kind of very old. That came, I mean, the Jenkins is quite old with respect to the other projects that we discussed recently, like the cosine, the sextor, the captain. They are relatively new, and Jenkins is Jenkins has been there. So I'm really excited to learn some of the new stuff about Jenkins, what it does, what it doesn't do, and it'll be great. And yes, today is Friday, but we have to maintain that energy. So it's a Friday, and tomorrow starts weekend. By the way, CIVO is a 4-day week, so it's like officially my day off. But it's okay. We learned something new today as well, so that we have five new things that we have learned over the week, and that's a big thing. That if you have watched the streams, you have seen those 5 streams. It's a big thing that you have learned 5 different things in a week. So I think we're done for the month. So before getting handing over to Oleg, thanks to CD Foundation for sponsoring the swags. So there will be 5 winners. I'm posting the link of the form that you need to fill to enter the swag giveaway. Please make sure you fill that form. It's just the name and the email, nothing fancy. So just fill that form, and you'll be eligible to enter the giveaway. 5 giveaways at the end of the stream. So please make sure you stay at the end of the stream. With that, I have amazing Oleg with me. He's working at Dynatrace. He's the CD Foundation TOC. He's the superstar in the CI/CD ecosystem, open source ecosystem, contributions, community, and whatnot. I mean, an amazing human being as well. So not only the code wise, but as a person, he's a very good friend of mine, and really glad to have him on the show. So thank you, Oleg, for tuning in, and please introduce yourself to the community.
Yeah, thanks a lot for inviting me. And yeah, I'm already so humbled by your introduction, so I will do a really quick one. Okay, so yeah, today we talk about Jenkins. Yeah, so the promised quick introduction. Yeah, I'm a member of Technical Oversight Committee in the Continuous Delivery Foundation. I've been with the Jenkins community since 2012. Well, I started using Hudson in 2008 and then gradually started contributing when I was allowed to. And by 2014, I became a Jenkins core maintainer. and currently I'm one of the Jenkins governance board members, and I'm working on many plugins from time to time. So if you use Jenkins, you may have seen my name somewhere on the bug tracker or on GitHub. And just in case, sorry. Um, yeah. So recently there were some changes. I used to work for CloudBees for more than 6 years, but starting November 1st, I actually joined Dynatrace to work on open source programs and specifically on Captain. So Captain is cloud native orchestration tool for applications, and it performs various kinds of monitoring. And yesterday you had a presentation by Andy Grabner about it. Today, we actually talk about Jenkins. And as Sam said, Jenkins is quite old. So the first version was introduced in 2004. In 2008, it won Duke Award. It's one of top awards for Java projects. And it still evolves quite well, and it's dominant on the market. So first of all, what's Jenkins? It's automation server and framework. So it's not ready to fly CI/CD tool. It's not SaaS. It's basically something you install, configure for your needs, and then use. Jenkins is
You want
one
to
of the
share the
most.
slides? Are you sharing?
Oh, I don't. Okay. Sorry. Demo
No problem.
effect. But yeah. Well, yeah. Do you see the slides now?
Yep.
Well, as you can see, you didn't miss much except my Twitter handle. So yeah, let's continue. It's one of the most popular CI/CD tools. Currently, it still holds around 50 to 60% of the automation market, and it's quite popular thanks to its flexibility and thanks to its framework Notion, because it can be used in any area. Jenkins is open source. The core is licensed with MIT license. The most of plugins are also MIT. It has a huge ecosystem, and yeah, it's fully based on the open source technologies. It has a quite big community. So, for example, 1 year ago, we had more than 5,000 contributors to the Jenkins project. It includes code committers, reviewers, commenters, and there are much more people who actually contribute in a wider ecosystem, because there are so many projects outside main Jenkins organizations. And it also has a very, very big plugin ecosystem. So it has 70 and 100 plugins for different use cases, mostly around automation, CI/CD, and these plugins actually allow addressing many tools. And yeah, currently Jenkins is a part of the Continuous Delivery Foundation, and it's one of the created projects there. Okay, again, Jenkins is not actually a CI tool. It's not actually a CD tool. It's rather automation server, which can be used to automate various steps, including all steps of classic build pipelines or delivery pipelines, and it integrates with all common tools on the market. So the idea that you take the plugins and components and basically use Jenkins rather as an orchestrator, which connects these plugins, integrations, and implements your pipeline. Some numbers I already bragged about Jenkins being one of the big projects, and yeah, here are some stats from 2019. And if you want to compare with other projects, if you take CNCF and CDF ecosystem, actually Jenkins is the second biggest project after Kubernetes there. It has been around for 15 years. It keeps growing in terms of all metrics, including contributors numbers, number of plugins available, and number of users. This is just a slightly outdated sample for pull requests. So you can see that basically, yeah, it still steadily grows, and the yellow line is represent the introduction of Dependabot and other automation services. So currently, actually, the growth is even more rapid than it used to be before. Okay. Has a Continuous Delivery Foundation been already introduced? I guess not.
No, it wasn't introduced officially.
Okay. So Jenkins is one of the founding projects of the Continuous Delivery Foundation, along with Jenkins X, Spinnaker, Tecton. later screwdriver, Atelius, and shipwright joint. There is ongoing work on CD events. It's a specification for messaging. We can talk about it later if you're interested. And yeah, Continuous Delivery Foundation is basically vendor-neutral home, which fosters open source projects in the CI/CD space, and also works on topics like interoperability between these projects and other common areas like security, best practices, etc., etc. So if you're interested, please contribute. And let's go back to Jenkins. So again, in Jenkins, you can implement any kind of CI and CD pipeline. So what we usually see in the wild is pipelines like just commonly built style. So you check out sources based on various events like a CM commit, or somebody triggers set malware, then you set up environment to run build, run analysis, for example, static analysis, and then perform testing, publish results, deploy all the artifacts and certifications. So if you have ever built your project, most likely you have seen pipelines like that. In Jenkins, this pipeline is just one of the examples of what you can implement. I'll probably switch more to the live demo from now. In Jenkins, let's just open one of repositories within the Jenkins community. Okay, let's open Jenkins File Runner. It's one of my pet projects, one of the favorite ones. And here you can see that there is Jenkins file. So it's one of the ways to describe builds in Jenkins. In Jenkins, we have multiple supported ways, also through the plugins. So one of the popular ways are job DSL, freestyle jobs, where you can figure everything in web UI. And also there is pipeline as code, which was presented during the previous days. And Ticton, Captain, all of them use pipeline as code these days, and Jenkins also supports it. So there are two types of languages in Jenkins. So one is declarative pipeline. You can see that the result there. So declarative pipeline is way quite close to syntaxes you seen for Ticton. So basically, it's a declarative definition which simplifies common use cases. It's quite opinionated and provides way to declaratively say what you want to do. So, for example, here, if you want Kubernetes, you can define your Kubernetes node, then you can define steps, etc., and stages like that, and then it gets executed. Another form of Jenkins pipeline is script pipeline, which is basically a Groovy DSL. So it's not a Groovy, but it's still a fully functional programming language. It's imperative. And here, for example, you can see this script. This script is quite big, but I can slowly explain what it does. So basically, here we have support for multiple configurations. In practice, we just built Linux. We define multiple parallel builds. So we need Docker. So we request an agent with Docker. We set up some timestamps. And then, we basically acquire workspace, check out the source console, check out the repository, then run Maven build using one of other pipeline libraries. So it's a step implemented also in pipeline code. And then after build, we just process the results. For example, publish JUnit, record static analysis issues, public coverage. So it's basically the similar pipeline as I presented before. And let's see how it actually looks in practice in Jenkins. I won't be a problem. Yeah. So here, Jenkins natively integrates with GitHub, GitLab, and other systems. So you can take a system you like. So here I'm using GitHub. Let's just see how it works for this particular repository. You can see that currently Jenkins submits a number of checks. So we provide integration with checks API of GitHub. But Jenkins has a standalone interface too. And this is one of the main modes. And actually we have two interfaces. So this one is called Blue Ocean. It's basically simplified view for users. Currently, it's rather being deprecated and replaced by alternative solution. So it's a way to quickly browse your pipelines, get the basic information about what's going on. Also, you can browse tests, for example, there and see details. So like in many other systems, also artifacts if you want. But if you want to experience full power of Jenkins, you can switch from Blue Ocean to classic web interface. This is what I'm doing now. So if you in the CI/CD space, you may have seen this interface many times before. And yeah, this is, for example, the build I launched. So you have seen the pipeline, you have seen the graph, and this is an execution result. So for example, here you can go check console. It's extremely big because I'm not optimizing it, but yeah, it runs multiple stages. You can see that in this particular case, rendering was messed up. Usually it's quite successful at parsing things. You can also break it down to console sections via plugins that are not installed on this instance. And what's interesting, compared to other systems, Jenkins is very capable of doing reporting. So modern systems usually assume that you have this std out, this summary, and this is enough. Jenkins was built with other paradigm, which I expect that there is a lot of reporting happening. So for big projects where you really want to have static analysis or performance testing, then you can use Jenkins to get all this information. And for example, here we also have coverage report. It's one of the plugins which is quite modern. It also supports even browsing code if it's configured properly. In this project, I believe that we do have a browsing code, but if you want, you can even through particular code lines and see what's going wrong right inside the web interface. So currently, yeah, there are two services like Coveralls doing that. Jenkins uses another approach and basically provides you the same experience integrated into your automation server. Same for static analysis. So here's, for example, report, and you can see that I could have been doing a better job at cleaning up static analysis issues in this project. And yeah, for example, yeah, so some issues could be better. Some things could be better. So this is just a few examples of how Jenkins looks like. There are multiple architectural advantages. So let's go back to the Jenkins web interface. You can see that it has some information here interesting for us. One of items is build executor status. So Jenkins itself is not just a single server. It's actually a distributed system, which can include this main server called controller. There are also agents. So it's a kind of remote instances which can be connected. So for example, here we connect one instance of PowerPC agent, the one of S390, it's on IBM machines. Also, there are Windows agents. But in addition to that, we actually have a lot of flexibility. So you can connect agents on demand. And there are many common plugins. For example, yeah, I've already shown an example. So this is our plugin side. And for example, if I'm interested in Kubernetes, so if you want to provision Jenkins agents in Kubernetes, so there is a special Kubernetes plugin, which actually can do all the provisioning. You can configure it inside the build, and then Jenkins provisions containers for you on demand from specific templates, and you can just use them in your build transparently. So here, for example, for example, here you have pipeline, then you go to particular node, and then you execute Maven, and Maven is built based on this container definition provided for Kubernetes. And there are many other plugins like that. So for example, if you want to build in Docker, you have probably too many Docker plugins available. If you want to build somewhere else, for example, in Sun Retention, there are plugins for that. If you just want to connect agent via SSH, there is also a plugin for that, SSH build agents. Say for Windows, for example, there is VMI, which provisions agent. And it was one of the key factors of success because Jenkins actually implements flexible distributed systems. It can scale architecturally for agents, and as a server, it can handle a lot of payload just on its own. What was mentioning about Jenkins? It has support for many common features. For example, if you want to manage Jenkins is a framework, it's complex to manage, but it supports various ways for provisioning. For example, if you talk about infrastructure as code, Jenkins has classic Helm charts. Um, oh, it's still not used to this keyboard. Okay. So here, for example, we have Helm chart. So if you want to deploy Jenkins in Kubernetes, you can just use this Helm chart. Or there is another project called Operator. So there is also Jenkins Operator for Kubernetes. Actually, can provision Jenkins and manage it through configuration as code. And yeah, you can use one of these projects to start Jenkins and Kubernetes in seconds. If you prefer more classic setups, we also provide distributions for many other platforms. So for example, just Docker images, native installers for Windows, there is Linux version, there is also homebrew package for macOS, and many other sources you can deploy. Also in the cloud, if you want, there are default implementations which allow to provide provision Jenkins in the public cloud with a few clicks. So for example, for Amazon, for Azure, for Google Cloud, Oracle, even Siva. There is a template, and I believe that Sayam is one of maintainers for it, right? So yeah, there are many ways how you can deploy Jenkins. It was designed as a system that runs anywhere where Java is available, and we maintain this approach. So if you support Java, or if you can run a container environment, you can run Jenkins on your instance. We support ARM, we support x86 still, we support other platforms, and Jenkins keeps evolving. So what else? And yeah, for management, we also have common plugins like documentation as code, configuration as code. We have actually a lot of qualities for modern CI/CD services. And even if you want to define your jobs as YAML instead of these Jenkins files, it's also possible with Jenkins these days. For example, there is a plugin being developed by one of contributors, which actually allows defining Jenkins plugins as YAML. What is it? Pipeline is YAML. Yeah, pipeline is YAML plugin. So it's actively developed and you can try it out. Moreover, if you want to use GitHub Actions, etc., you can actually use them in Jenkins, because Jenkins can be extended not just by plugins, but also by pipeline libraries. So as I've shown here, there is infra-run Maven. So basically it comes from our pipeline library definition. And there are libraries which, for example, support executing GitHub Actions inside Jenkins. So yeah, for example, don't shave the Yak Jenkins std lib. So if you take this pipeline library, you can actually run any GitHub action right inside Jenkins. There are many other such integrations. So Jenkins has a huge ecosystem. It's 15 years, even more on the market. And yeah, it can support pretty much every case. And if you're interested, please join us and try out Jenkins. There is really a lot of different opportunities. So this is what I wanted to show with my demo. And we can deep dive into particular topics.
Yeah, there are a few questions, like with respect to but most of them are actually answered anyways. So I wanted to ask, like, can you throw some light on Jenkins versus Jenkins X? Because I mean, people, when they saw the Jenkins X, they are like excited to know what is Jenkins X, why it is there, and when Jenkins is there, then why Jenkins X is there.
Yeah, so Jenkins X has started as experimental project inside Jenkins. It happened in 2018. So the purpose of Jenkins X was to create an opinionated solution for delivering cloud-native applications for Kubernetes inside Kubernetes. So basically, Jenkins X started as basically rethinking of Jenkins, focused specifically on continuous delivery and specific on Kubernetes environments. And obviously, it was built on GitOps from very beginning. It supported ChatOps, it's the web interface, etc., etc. The project kept evolving, and at some point it became a separate project within the Continuous Delivery Foundation. So there were three main versions of Jenkins X, 1, 2, and 3. So Jenkins X 1 introduced basically managed Jenkins in Kubernetes. It also introduced another engine later, which I was showing is basically Jenkins file runner. It's opportunity to run Jenkins pipelines anywhere. It's basically portable and detachable Jenkins pipeline engine. And this is what was Jenkins X in version 1. Then version 2 was introduced, and in version 2, Jenkins X got tick-tone support. Just a second, I can actually show it to you. I have a long slide deck about evolution of open source CI/CD. I presented it actually this Tuesday. And there is, yeah, it's really long. But yeah, what I was looking on, yeah. So yeah, and in 2019, Jenkins X introduced support for tick-tone. So this is the project which was presented on Tuesday, I believe. And tick-tone, yeah, it's also a cloud-native pipeline engine which can be used in conjunction with orchestration services. So basically, Jenkins X became an orchestration service which supported three pipeline engines. In the second version, Jenkins file runner and classic Jenkins modes were deprecated with the assumption that Jenkins would go forward with tick-tone only, Jenkins X. But later this spring, they actually redesigned the system, and they decided to return support for classic Jenkins and Jenkins file runner back. So currently, if you use latest versions of Jenkins, you can still use all these three engines. And yeah, it's your choice whether you want to use a fully cloud-native tick-tone engine, if you want to use a cloud-native Jenkins file runner engine with a high level of compatibility with Jenkins, or if you want to use classic Jenkins, which is not cloud-native, but at the same time, it provides all Jenkins functionality. And well, for what it was, we're also working now on tick-tone support inside Jenkins directly. So tick-tone becomes one of possible pipeline engines being managed by Jenkins. So the diagram is going to be even more interesting going forward. Does it answer your question?
Yep, I was finding the
Yeah.
unmute button as usual. So yep, I think that makes
Mm-hmm.
a good analogy, because I hope it's clear to everyone as well, like why Jenkins X came as experimental project,
Mm-hmm.
and where it fits in the ecosystem. So we have like the as Oleg mentioned, there are a couple of ways in which you can install Jenkins and then try to play around with it. And basically it's a continuous integration tool, and obviously it has more than that. You can in the end you can have the plugins where you can deploy your artifacts, and Oleg mentioned that there are 1700 plus plugins, so you can imagine there's a whole website search that is dedicated to the plugin search. So that means how much is there, I mean, what not is there, because the 1700 is a huge number. I mean, I bet you won't even know the name of all 1700 for sure. So it's pretty rad and it's pretty cool. It's very old project, and I believe whosoever is in the DevOps ecosystem, they definitely know about Jenkins, or they have either started their journey with Jenkins. I saw some comment as well who said like I started my DevOps journey with Jenkins, which is cool. I think anywhere somewhere down the line you will definitely be working or have worked with Jenkins, which is cool. And so I also wrote the pipelines in Groovy script, and it's easy. So the whole funda is basically you have the Git repository, you are first fetching the code, and you are getting that in the workspace, and then you are having your stages, and your stages are doing the stuff. So the concept of the stages doing stuff in different pipelines, they all evolved from Jenkins, and that is where we have different set of tools now. Like Captain has different stages in the shipyard YAML file. I mean, the evolution has been there from Jenkins, and now it has been it has broadened the ecosystem in such a way that people have created much more useful tools with a specific kind of use cases in mind. But Jenkins on the whole is a beast, because when you have Jenkins, you have actually all the power, because you even have the Kubernetes plugin. And just Oleg also showed one thing, which was like the pipelines as YAML, I believe. So I think you can write the YAML files, and as part of your what you call, instead the pipelines, so that can also work. So those are interesting. There are secret management that you can store the secrets itself in the administration section. You can use them, and you can use that as part of the GitHub Actions. I think that is another great tool, like whenever PR is merged into master, so you'll be able to use that.
What's probably impressive for Jenkins for developers is the number of extension points, because the number of extension points is comparable or more than the number of plugins. So this is the list of Jenkins extension points defined just inside the Jenkins core. There are, so basically, this is why Jenkins is so successful as automation framework, because you can develop a plugin almost for everything, and it was originally designed in such a very extensible way. Of course, it creates a lot of fun for maintainers to maintain compatibility, but we still can run many plugins which were implemented 10 or even 15 years ago, though with recent changes, with security, with look and feel changes, some plugins need updates more and more. But ultimately, the ecosystem is very well compatible with what was before.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Anything else, Oleg, you would like to share with respect to Jenkins, like how people can get involved with the community? Because you said like it's the community who is there, and also, yeah, very good point. Like, what's next for Jenkins? Like, what is the future
Mhm.
roadmap? It's there. I mean, it's a very old project. What do you think, as you are the kind of, I think I can ask you this question because you are the TOC of the CD Foundation. You have all the conversations that must be going on. Like, what do you think is
Mhm.
the current state of Jenkins and where it is headed to?
Yeah, so Jenkins is a community-led project, so it evolves in directions where we have contributors. What it means that everyone who uses Jenkins can participate in this direction just by contributing towards what you're interested in. One thing that worth mentioning that Jenkins changes, and it changes a lot. So we say that Jenkins is 15 years old. It's true, but it's also true that, for example, like many of us started using Jenkins around 2010-ish, when CI/CD became a must. But Jenkins, like it was 10 years ago, doesn't longer exist. It exists only somewhere as legacy, etc. Jenkins evolved a lot, and Jenkins has kept evolving ever since its initial inception, adopting more technologies, providing more support for new use cases, etc. So one key success of that, of course, its extensibility, which we are talking about. Yeah, the fact that it's framework and can be adjusted for any need, which is not the case for the most of modern opinionated solutions. And of course, it's a huge community that was actually driving the project, because all I was showing today and all we have, it's a result of millions man hours of works done by Jenkins contributors from different companies who wanted to improve Jenkins for their own needs. And modern Jenkins is completely not what we used to see 15 years ago. So yeah, pipeline as code became a default, configuration as code became a default too. There is a lot of new plugins and integrations. There is modern packaging supported, and there are distributions for public cloud, as we discussed before. At the same time, Jenkins has quite a lot of challenges, because Jenkins, it was created before cloud native, serverless, or to be honest, even containers were a thing. And if you ask whether Jenkins is cloud native, no, it's not. It's architecturally not cloud native. It's a question to anyone whether it's needed or not. But ultimately, we see that currently there is a gap, and Jenkins needs to significantly evolve to keep addressing the new use cases. And actually, I have a quite big vision document which summarizes what I would like to see in Jenkins. But yeah, just to quickly summarize what I would like to see. It's not an official position of the community. But yeah, firstly, I would like to Jenkins remain accessible anywhere on any platform, inside or outside Kubernetes, on different architectures in different modes. So if you want Jenkins pipeline engine, you can take Jenkins file runner. If you want full Jenkins server, you can take Jenkins. If you want to embed the Jenkins into your pipelines and your solutions, you're also welcome to do so. So Jenkins should be runnable in as many modes as possible. It should have cloud-friendly architecture, so not cloud-native, maybe, but at least cloud-friendly, so that when you use it inside Kubernetes, inside other cloud ecosystems, you can leverage all key qualities of them, like pay-per-use, infinite scalability, etc., etc. And at the same time, you still get Jenkins experience because Jenkins experience with all its reporting capabilities, with all its flexibility, is what people love in Jenkins. You can hate its web interface. For the record, it improved a lot, but its flexibility is what people like. And we want to improve user experience by reworking a web interface. You can see that Jenkins now looks differently from what it looked 2 years ago. We gradually adopt new features, new integrations, including deeper integrations with GitHub, so that you can use GitHub as front end, and also a lot of work on developer experience too. Uh, Jenkins, in my opinion, should still remain as a framework, so to remain flexible as it used to be. There might be some additional technologies. For example, currently you don't really have to run Jenkins with Java. It's possible to run Jenkins natively in GraalVM to, with some very serious limitations, but it could be improved in the future. And whatever happens, I would like to see Jenkins remaining mostly compatible with previous use cases. We may have to sacrifice some to move forward, but ultimately we still want to support different kinds of environments. And if you're interested, it's actually a great time to contribute. Well, for the record, it's always a great time to contribute. And in the case of Jenkins, if you're interested to join, we have a lot of guidelines. For example, if you want to work on code, on documentation, if you want to help with spreading the word about Jenkins or helping with code reviews, testing, or design, we would appreciate that a lot. And there are opportunities for that. So you can go to this page, Jenkins Participate, and you can find a lot of materials on various topics there. If you want to see what else changes in the project and where it's going, so I give something like 10,000 feet view. We have a Jenkins roadmap, which is public. Here you can find a lot of ongoing activities and a lot of upcoming activities. This roadmap needs some updates, but yeah, generally you can find the slice of initiatives and what's going on just here. And here new features you can try, just released. Here features initiatives you can contribute to. So what is currently under evaluation, what's being developed, and what we are about starting working on soon. So take a look at this roadmap, and yeah, you can find a lot of various interesting areas there. And you can see that there is actually a lot of things in the preview. So, and we would appreciate any feedback from you and try it out. So Jenkins might be quite old, but I would say that Jenkins is still young and it keeps evolving.
Awesome. Yeah, that is what I wanted to kind of convey the
Mhm.
message. Like it's old, but it has evolved over the time, and it is evolving more. So it is, it is going to the next level, and because, like, Oleg has the vision. Obviously, it makes sense. It is, um, you know, going in the not cloud native but cloud friendly. So running everywhere. He talked about Graal VM. I actually did a stream with the Graal VM founder, so I have posted the link in the chat as well. So I think these these will make even evolve Jenkins to the next and take it to the next level. So you should definitely not think that it is an old technology and I should not learn it. N- don't think that it has evolved a lot if you compare it with, kind of 2010, 12 time frame, and tons of integrations, GitHub Actions, pipelines as code, whatnot has come with respect to the evolution of Jenkins. So I think that is pretty cool. I think we have covered almost all the aspects, and with a nice demo that Oleg had. One
Mhm.
last thing that we'll do is the swag giveaway. So Oleg, we had 24 entries in the Google form. So can you pick five random numbers from 1 to 24, and I can send out the names.
Okay, let's say 2, 3, 9, 21, 15. Fully
Two,
random 2, 3, 9,
3, 9,
21,
21,
and 15.
and 15.
It's completely blind pick. I have no idea who is behind these numbers.
Yeah,
So yeah.
so these are the winners. So it's Fagun, Jan, Anurag Kumar, Ashok, Gyan Raj, and others. So again, thank you all for tuning in, and thank you Oleg for this
Mhm.
amazing session on Jenkins, and especially on the future of Jenkins, that it is here to stay. A very strong message that goes out to the community. So get involved. It's a huge community and has been there for years. So I think you'll always be feeling welcomed over there. And thank you to all the congratulations to all the winners. Obviously, now the whole week, the CICD week has ended. There's a playlist that is there on my channel where I have put all the 5 videos, so you can share that playlist or you can send that playlist to everyone. And all the winners will be contacted next week early. So it would be good, if I'll try to contact as early as possible. I have the codes with me, so I'll send them out with the instructions that CD Foundation have sent me. So thank you all for tuning in. Have a happy weekend. Hope you had a great learning week. Please do tag Oleg and myself that you really enjoyed the CICD week. I will feel very happy, and Oleg will feel very happy. That we did spend a lot of time brainstorming for something good. We did spend a lot of time for making everyone learn something new for the whole week. So thank you all for tuning in, and thank you Oleg again for all the help initially for the stream and for the community, the work that you do.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. Have a
Yeah.
nice day, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.